Welcome to Horror Madness with Deb and Dana. It is
Spring break, y'all. Spring break forever.
Spring Break, Horror Madness forever, y'all.
If you want to find us, we are Horror Madness 93 on Instagram and TikTok and Horror Madness on Facebook. You can also email us at
horrormadness93
at gmail.com. Please, we love to engage with people. Find us, email us, DM us. We love it.
Yeah,
we love it.
We picked a not bad name, but like also the not best name. So our name's different on almost every platform, but like
Yeah.
slightly different, and it's the same on most of the thing. Deb, this is one of A24's first movies.
Oh, we're talking about spring break, y'all. Spring break forever. It is one of A24's first movies. It is written and directed by Harmony Korine, and it is starring Vanessa Hudgens, Selena Gomez, Ashley motherfucking Benson, James Franco, and Gucci Mane.
So let's get this out of the way. James Franco, fuck him. His acting job in this movie is fucking amazing. He's a piece of shit. Fuck him.
Also, this needs to be addressed. This is our first Madness episode.
Oh yeah, first Madness.
We are Horror Madness because we do horror and crazy ass motherfucking movies that are madness. This is our first Madness episode, and I'm so excited for it.
The point of the name was that we mostly do horror, and we do a little bit of madness. And this is our first time doing madness.
Yeah.
12, 13 episodes in. This is our first actual madness episode. It's not a horror movie, but also isn't it though?
It could be.
Yeah, like it kind of is.
We picked this movie because I'm in college. I'm
Oh.
on spring break, y'all.
And she's on spring break.
And I told Dana, I said, I'm on spring break. We need to do Spring Breakers.
Yeah, well, I
And
mean,
Dana
yeah.
was like, that's a
I
great
was like,
idea.
no, like straight up, like it's not spring yet. And it's spring break, and it's time for spring break, even though it's too early for spring break. But you know,
And that's the college life. They give you spring break in the middle of winter.
yeah, they're like, nah, you get like you just moved to St. Petersburg. Which, like, also, like, we talked about this extensively earlier before the podcast. Never heard of anybody going to St. Petersburg, Florida for spring break. But, like, also, I don't know, if you're rich enough to go to a weird place I hadn't heard of, shouldn't you have been in Cabo?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I don't know. So, I think this movie starts off.
It's for college friends.
Oh, no, we're not even there yet. I'm talking about when the movie starts off.
Oh, go for it, babe.
It makes me personally kind of miss dubstep. I never listened to dubstep a second in my life, but like I've always kind of really enjoyed dubstep. I listen to industrial music, industrial metal.
Dubstep's it's akin.
Yeah, no, it's
akin.
It's very akin.
So, this movie is about four college friends trying to get out of their podunk town. I think it's in South Carolina, but that's just like...
It's never stated where they're from.
It's never stated where they're from. It could be Alabama. It could be Georgia. It could be South Carolina. It's close enough to Florida to take a bus.
I originally assumed that it was like, you know what I mean, like
Ohio?
Yeah, like I thought it was like Ohio or Michigan or like some like Midwestern state, but everyone has a southern accent, so it's got to be the deep South.
Also, if it was them, they'd just be coming to Myrtle Beach.
Right.
Not Florida, so it's got to be
sure
south.
As fuck wouldn't be going to St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg has got to be Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina.
I was both alive and the age to go to spring break when this movie was made. And St. Petersburg was never on my radar.
Baby,
ever
it
for
was
a second.
2012 when this movie was made. I was out of the army.
Well, I was in the army. and just gotten back from my second tour at Iraq and would have gone to spring motherfucking break forever, y'all, in a heartbeat. So this movie starts off with party on the beach, hotties, beer funnel. Then immediately after that, we get a scene where they're sitting in college.
Yeah.
Talking shit, and in the background, they're talking about World War II. They're literally describing the movie in World War II terms going forward. Like, they're sitting in a class, and they're talking over it, but in the background, they're like, and then, like, it started off okay, and then shit got wild, and like, yeah.
Me?
And then they go straight from that to the church scene where they're all like, faith will save you, Jesus will save you, like, if you just have faith, you'll be okay and you won't be drowned by the sins of other people.
Also, that scene is a weird scene.
It is.
And the dude, Jeff Jarrett, that dude gave me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah. And he is a famous, like, tap-out wrestler dude.
Did not know that. We talk so much about movies, and I'm always like, we're talking too much. Like, we gotta not talk so much about it so that we can be surprised. I'm surprised.
I looked at him, and the way he was acting, I was like, he's important.
I didn't even think that. I thought he was just like, a random actor who was in the movie for 2 seconds.
The creepy pastor in Spring Breakers.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So he's talking a lot about faith, and he's talking a lot about Jesus, and he's talking about a lot of Jesus saves, whatnot, whatever.
They're singing some, like, children's church songs.
Well, there's also the scene of the bad girl holding the shotgun, the gun that produces the water gun that she's just taking shots.
So you go straight from this, like, church worship service to a party.
This movie glorifies binge drinking.
Oh, so much. They are smoking some green from baby dolls, and that was real weird.
It's creative. I think a thing that I wanted to point out in this movie is, growing up in Atlanta, I've never seen anyone play dice. The Chappelle Show and stuff. Yeah, dice. Just motherfuckers like playing dice for money.
I missed that completely.
At this exact same time period, Dave Chappelle kept showing people playing dice for money. I've never seen motherfuckers play dice ever, and that seems insane to me that, like, at this time period, it was kind of over-glorified that people were, like, playing dice for money in alleys at all points in time.
So this movie does a lot of cutting back and forth. So they're at the church service, then they're at a house party, then they're in their dorm room doing gymnastics in the hall.
Yeah, well, it's just hot girls doing hot girl shit. With the,
Selena?
Yeah, so it's only murders in the college.
Only murders in the college.
Right, it's Selena Gomez doing Only Murders in the College.
And they're just doing gymnastics in the hall.
I mean, they weren't exactly gymnastics. They were very sexual, but not overly sexual.
I don't know. The first 30 minutes of this movie are like, what the fuck is going on?
The first 30?
I mean, the whole movie.
At some point, does it stop being what the fuck is going on?
No, but the first 30 minutes, you don't know anything yet. There's, like, no talking. The film opens with dubstep. There's topless girls and beer bongs. There is a church service with worship music, and then there's bitches doing gymnastics in the hallway, and nobody's said a word yet. You don't even know what's going on yet. That's the first 30 minutes of the movie. You don't know the plot of the movie. It's great. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
So
everything is so beautiful.
Weirdly, I generally at this point talk about the soundtrack and the music that's going on in the background. I have seen this movie 100 times. I don't know what the soundtrack is or what the music going on in the background is. What catches my eye, what feels important to me in this movie is the color.
The color is so beautiful.
It's so hard on the color in a fantastical way where like later in the movie people are illuminated by blacklight where there couldn't possibly be a blacklight.
We're not there.
But yeah, I know that's like at the very end. No, it's kind of throughout though, but like I think one of my favorite things about this movie is the color choices and the cinematography of the colors. And at this point, everything is wild and vibrant, and there's greens and pinks, and like everything is fantastically colored.
Yes. Also, you don't know what the fuck is going on. You have to pay attention to the colors. You have to pay attention to what you're seeing and not what you're hearing. Because what you're hearing doesn't matter. You have to pay attention to the visuals. Because the visuals are what tells the story in this movie.
I think honestly, which is wild, and it pains me to say, I feel like the story is told through the color choices of the cinematography more than it's told through the actual plot of the movie. I think that's a beautiful, important thing, and I think this is why it's an A24 film, is that I think the color selection in every second of the movie is unbelievably important and tells as much, if not more, of the story than the plot does.
To know what's going on in this movie, you have to pay attention to what you're seeing.
Oh, let's not forget, in the background of the entire beginning scenes, there's always something on TV that's like a boxing match or something violent happening in the background, which I also think is fucking beautiful. So they are in college. They're not poor.
Those chicks seem so unstable from the jump. And then they count up their money, and they don't have enough for spring break.
Yeah, which, like, yeah, they don't. And then they decide to, good girls rob a diner, not a franchise, a mom and pop diner that couldn't possibly have more than, like, $200.
With water guns.
And
with
stolen
water guns and a stolen El Camino.
I also think it's beautiful and awesome that their whole thing was act like you're in a movie, act like you're in a video game, which is, you know, pretty on point because it's a movie that could be a video game.
So they rob the Chicken Shack and then they burn the car. And then they're just like, we have enough money for spring break now. I don't know how much money they have.
Couldn't be more than a couple $100.
They act like it's thousands.
Yeah,
thousands
they act like they just robbed a mom and pop restaurant for $20,000.
They hop on a bus full of old people.
Also, that's also mentioned later in the movie. If it's only been like a day, dude is like, oh, what, y'all came down here with a little tiny bit of money and now you're broke because you were partying for a day?
Yeah.
I think they robbed the Chicken Shack for like $200 because you couldn't get more than that from robbing the Chicken Shack.
It is Selena Gomez, Ashley Benson from Pretty Little Liars, Vanessa Hudgens, and another chick. I don't know who she is. She's the least famous one. I'm sorry. Pink hair.
Pink hair chick.
Pink hair.
She's probably famous to people.
They hop on a bus to Florida. And they are partying it up with some old people. They are tearing that bus up.
Oh, in the bus.
On the bus.
There's some old
They are tearing it the fuck up. Like, I thought it was a college bus, and I was like, they said everybody already left for college. And then I looked at the people on the bus, and I was like, oh,
those are college people.
Those are old people.
Old gray-haired Debs and Danas.
And then they joined the spring break festivities that have been showing through the entire movie already.
So I think a thing that needs to be said, I think, much like many Mandela effects of movies that exist, spring break, y'all. Like you hear about this movie and you immediately say, spring break, y'all. That's said one time in a said that way fashion. At the first couple minutes, one of the chicks, one of the Disney chicks I don't know, is like, "We're going on spring break, y'all," and that's it.
So James Franco is in this movie.
Yeah, we already did that.
No, yeah, we did that. He plays a rapper named Alien. In bikinis and big booties, that is what life is about. That's what he says.
Bikinis and big booties, that's what life's all about. Nobody has a big booty in that whole scene.
No, but that's what Alien says.
I think the more important thing about James Franco in the scene is that it is just Gary Oldman from True Romance. So then we go from that rap concert.
And then they do more hallway gymnastics. They love their hallway gymnastics.
Did they do that again?
Yes, in the hotel.
Yeah,
they did it in the dorm, and then they did it in the hotel. The same fucking scene.
But you never
with the hallway gymnastics.
You never did college hallway life at all?
I did barracks life, and I did gymnastics in the hall.
That was
Barracks life at 21 is the same as dorm life at 19.
Yeah, I guess ish. By the time I was in the Army, I was already like, that's.
You were old. I wasn't.
Yeah, I was already like, this is lame, and I've done this before.
I was in the Army at 21. I was college age doing
college gymnastics in the dorm hallway was like a thing that you just did. So we got the big giant hotel party, which is the beginning of the second act. So yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that ever saved me in my life ever, and never getting arrested for anything, was the fact in that hotel party, I would not have been in the room that was inescapable when the cops came. Everybody that was out there on the balcony just walked the fuck away. I think with my love of the lighting and colors in this movie, I think this is the biggest point. Like, while all this is happening, everything goes super blue. It goes super blue. Every time a cop is involved, all lighting is blue. Which I think is cool as fuck.
It is.
And then they go to prison, and from that point, the whole second act doesn't have colors. It's reality. It looks normal. There's no neon. There's no fantasy lights. There's no blue. There's no red for the beginning of the second act. Everything. Yeah, they take away all the colors. It's not a fantasy life. It's grounded. It's reality. It looks normal. Everything is filmed like reality looks. Like from crazy. Them being in jail and him being a shark, lurking. Like, what kind of motherfucker is just like hanging out in courtrooms to find a hot bitch that he can fucking bail out of jail?
And I thought that, but the twins got arrested with them. The twins, his boys, got arrested with them. And he was in the courtroom for the twins. And then they look back at him and give him a signal, and he posts their bail.
Well, that's the thing. We have watched this movie 100 times.
Yeah.
No, for real. We've watched this movie 6-7 times. I watched this several times before I met you.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a party movie.
Like, it is. It is.
It's a great thing to have on in the background and not really pay attention to. My initial thought on watching this movie with a critical eye, which is hard to do, was that dude is just hanging out outside of the courthouse at all times. But, like, you're right. It's the twins. Those were his boys.
His boys got arrested.
Before he got hot girls doing hot girl crime with him, it was the twins doing hot boy crime.
Hot boy crime.
I thought that whole courtroom scene, originally we watched it again tonight and I changed my mind completely, was it was just like human trafficking, y'all.
No.
And he was like he was lurking at the courtroom to human traffic people, but like also that's not what happened.
Let me tell you, this movie is a women's empowerment movie.
Yeah, for
this
sure.
This is like the most feminist movie.
It very much is. It's not human trafficking.
No.
It's more the girls than it is even Alien doing anything that they're doing. Like, Alien is a scumbag motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
He's not human trafficking.
No.
They almost human traffic him.
Let's get there. So,
yeah, like it's almost them doing it to him, and he's just in a position to allow their fucking fantasies to come true. He's allowing their fantasies to come true, but it's more about the girls.
It is, and they are some badass bitches. So they get their little citations and have to pay the fines. An Alien pays.
So I think this is the first throwback to the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
Faith takes her home. Things are getting too wild, and Jesus is in her heart, and Jesus is protecting her. And
Faith does not want this shit. Faith is like,
and
thanks for getting me out of jail.
Before things get too wild, her faith brings her back home, which is what they're singing in the beginning of the movie, that faith will bring you back home, and her name is Faith.
Her name is Faith.
Also, poor choice of names in this movie, or is it? I don't know.
No, it was
They're wildly
very
good.
Intentional.
It's
it was
Alien, who's not of this earth. It's Faith, who Faith brings her back home. It's Arch, who's the arch enemy of the movie. It is. The names are kind of wildly on point, which like I want to be mad about, but I'm not, because like it's so in your face.
It is. It is clear what it's supposed to be.
It's not like you have to assume or think.
So they get out of jail, and Alien takes them to this clubhouse party. I don't even know what it is. A garage party?
It was Dreams Eatery. It was the G-Spot up the street. It was the G-Spot. We have a club right up the street from us that was called the G-Spot.
It's like a house.
That's like a house that was a club, and like they almost got shut down. 200 times because like every time they opened, someone got shot.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. It was like the G-Spot. It was just a little shitty club that like people hung out in.
It looked like a storage unit.
Well, I mean, the G-Spot looks like a fucking storage unit.
I know. It looked like a storage unit.
It was open for years. Decades.
And Faith is not having this bullshit.
She's already gone.
She wants to leave.
Oh, no, that's when she leaves. Yeah.
She wants to fucking leave. And Alien gets real. It's the creepiest he gets.
Yeah, no, that was his creepiest.
Alien, what made
from
me
the
uncomfortable.
Courthouse to this point, which is why, like, you can't, like, he's at this point, you can't not think he's just human trafficking. Ultimately, he's not, though. He let her go home. He didn't stop her from going home. He said, "I love you so much. I want you here more than anybody else." But he's like, also like, yeah, if you want to go home, go the fuck home. So this is also a take on the whole movie that I think is supposed to be there and is supposed to matter. And I don't discount it for a second that this whole movie is a take on racism. And this scene is where the take on racism exists.
Yes.
And it is supposed to be proving a point about racism. I'm going to go with it does it in a poor way.
Yeah.
Like, I think the way that they handle it is bad, and I don't think that the whole movie is about racism at all. I think this scene in particular is about racism. this is a touchy scene. It's a bit of a touchy scene
in a lot of ways.
I think just this scene is about this, and it's about the white good girl Christian being influenced and around a minority that she's not used to and having to deal with it, and she just quits at that point because
she is good with everything till he takes her there. She's like, I want to go home. I want to go home right now. But it also could be like she was just in jail. She wasn't in jail before. She was just having a good time. And then reality, so as a former good girl, reality sets in. You're going there, you're partying, everything's good, and you end up in jail. And you're like, fuck me. She wanted to go home.
So I feel like that's just like an extra 30 minutes that you don't need in a film, and this scene is about racism.
Faith talks about something really bad happening. And there's some foreshadowing. She's like, I just feel like something really bad is going to happen. And it shows Alien playing the piano with blood on his fingers. And you think something devastating is going to happen.
It's all foreshadowed in that first Jesus scene.
Yeah. So, Alien had blood on his fingers. And then Faith gets on a bus and leaves. And her friends stay behind.
And also, that's it. That's it. She's gone. He lets Faith go home. With, he attempts, but just lets her go home, and then these chicks destroy his existence and kill him ultimately.
These chicks go wild.
Also, his own decisions, and they're
she
just
leaves,
going with the flow.
And he takes them to a strip club, and that's where you're met with the big bad. Alien's not the big bad.
He's not. He's
Gucci Mane.
Alien is kind of the protagonist of the movie. Gucci Mane is the antagonist, and the girls are
anti-heroes.
Anti-heroes? Yeah, anti-heroes, I think would be the best way to say it. Yeah, they're anti-heroes.
So they go to a club, and he introduces them to Archie, the arch nemesis.
Yeah.
And there's some beef. There's some very obvious beef, and he's like, this dude used to be my best friend.
Personally, I so deeply feel
I do too.
Having that friendship, that best friendship, and then you get older and things aren't the same, and all of a sudden you're fucking supposed to be enemies, and think you can choose to be enemies or you can choose to not be enemies, and they chose to be enemies.
They made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
They could have been a power couple.
Well, I mean, they could have just been best friends, and fucking little bitch-ass James Franco could have done, some light work, and it would have been fine, and then now he's got hot bitches that are fucking the most badass bitches that ever lived.
It is also a quick scene where he's just like, we used to be best friends, and there's beef. And then they go to a scene in the bedroom. With the girls and James. It's quick.
It's quick, but it's brought back several times.
It is, and we haven't brought it back yet. I'm going in order of my notes. Well, and then there's the pew-pew blowjob scene.
Yeah, then there's the blowjob scene.
These chicks, you think these chicks are going to get trafficked. You do. Because James
That's what they want you to think. Unfortunately for who he is, I think it's one of the best acting scenes I've ever seen in my life, where he doesn't speak and you can see him being a fearful pussy, and then you can see the turn in his mind where he understands that if he just quits being a scared little bitch, he can ride this scene out, and he can live with this thing that's happening to him.
The first time I saw this movie, I thought he was about to die, because I know
every time I see this movie, I'm like, he's about to die, and then he doesn't. And it's just like seeing his turn between being a scared little bitch and realizing that he can misogynistically empower the situation, which is what his turn is. He's like, oh no, if I just roll with this, I ain't gonna fucking get killed. And it works out with him for a moment.
Which makes it shitty when he's like, "Oh, but I love you," and they're like, "No, that makes me a little bit mad."
Well, that's way later.
'Cause those chicks,
they're about to kill him.
They are, and they would have. Yeah. I think 1,000%. They had no intention of keeping him around.
Which is a whole thing with the ending that I don't know how we cannot bring up at this point. A lot of people think they killed him. They definitely didn't. There's no question. They absolutely
No, we watched it a few times. Yeah. But honestly, the other night when we watched this, and I've seen it 1,000 times.
And I think your first watch of this movie, there's no way you're not going to assume that they killed him. If you are paying total attention, you're still going to be like, fuck, they killed him. They don't. They do not.
They don't. Anyway, we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're nowhere near there.
These chicks are so motherfucking badass.
He thinks he's the big shit.
And he's nothing.
And then they're like, oh, you think you're the big shit? You're fucking not. And they prove that to him. And I think maybe in that moment, his understanding that they're more badass than he is when he starts sucking off the gun.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to die, or they're the fucking motherfuckers in charge. They're the bitches in charge.
They are. And it is beautiful. It is such a beautiful scene.
And that's still kind
of... It is a beautiful fucking scene.
And it's also kind of early in the movie-ish. You know, it's still middle of the second act and stuff. Well, towards the end of the second act. But, like, that, I think it's such a good scene acting-wise that it's just wild.
The third act starts in the next moment of the movie. That is the very end of the second act.
The third act starts when they get... the boat pulls up.
I think the third act starts when he's playing Every Time by Britney Spears on the piano.
Oh, yeah.
Which is minutes later. Yeah. They do that. He's like, I think I'm in love with y'all. And they don't say I love you back because they're not simps. They're like, cool, you're not going to die. And then he's playing the piano. Yeah. And they're like, they come out in these gorgeous pink ski masks with the most gorgeous cat eyes and DTF pants. Like, these chicks come out.
So again, with the cinematography and shit, I think with them out there by the piano and those ski masks and the DTF fucking sweatpants. And
then this montage, they're dancing around with guns and robbing the fuck out of people and just fucking people up.
It's just it's sexy, but like also it's just fucking beautiful, and it's just like wildly fucking appropriate and beautiful for the movie. But like the point of the scene is just, when people watch this movie and say it has no plot and makes no sense, I'm just like, can you watch a movie? Are you capable of understanding anything?
So, there's more beef with Archie.
Oh, Gucci Mane.
So, they're driving down the road. They're just driving down the road, minding their own business. And I think that makes me a little bit mad. They're just driving down the road. And Archie pulls up next to them. He's got a pistol. His chick's got a gun.
Is it a chick?
Yeah, no. It's his girlfriend in the seat next to him that shoots the other chick in the arm.
I never even pay attention to the shooter in this situation.
And then it cuts back to Alien's bloody fingers on the piano real quick. And you're like, oh, that's why his fingers are bloody.
So I have a theory.
Chick gets shot in the arm.
This is where my big theory starts. But then, like, we watched it again today after watching it the other day and taking notes. And my big theory was that they all die at this point. Because, like, from this point on is, like, just wildly insane and couldn't possibly happen. Nothing from this point on can happen.
Chick gets shot in the arm and goes home. Cool.
Also, just goes home. He doesn't stop her.
Nope.
He's like, bitch, you got shot in the arm. That fucking sucks, and I feel you.
If you want to go home, go home.
I really wish you wouldn't go home. I'm in love with these other two chicks, but you're important too. Like, please don't go home. But if you got to go home, and she just goes the fuck home.
Also, she goes home, and he starts writing a song about killing dude. Like,
he starts writing. He just writes the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, literally, yes.
Yeah, Spring Break Forever. One little chickie.
Yeah,
didn't feel safe, so she went back to the farm.
I had 4 little chicks, and I tried to catch them, and I couldn't catch one. She went back, and then there were 3, and then 1 got shot in the arm, and then there were 2, and then these bitches fucked shit up in the best way.
Also, I think a very important thing, and on the note of the director being a piece of shit who won't answer questions, I think the 5 minutes of you're just a little pussy. So it's repeated for like no shit. Like it's several minutes of the movie is just a repeat over and over and over of him being a pussy.
Oh yeah, they're like, are you a scaredy cat?
Yeah, scaredy cat. I'm sorry, scaredy cat.
You're a scaredy cat. You're a scaredy cat. You're a scaredy cat. You're a scaredy cat. I'm a scaredy cat.
I think the important part there is I don't think you said it. You said you thought he was a little bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Who wasn't worthy of shit, and he only became anything he was because of the chicks.
Yep.
That's not shown in the movie. Like, it's a opinion you have until the scene, the scaredy cat, you're a pussy scene.
Yeah, and he admits it.
And it's repeated for 4 fucking minutes because there's no way to understand fully that he was just a scared little bitch that was just a wannabe gangster who wasn't really anything. He didn't matter. He was just fucking a pain in Gucci Mane's ass. Let's make him say it. Let's make them say it. Let's prove to you, because it's not really in the movie, that he's a scared little bitch who wasn't worthy of shit before those girls showed up and made him a man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. They made him a man.
They did. Absolutely, 1000%.
And I really think it goes deep on that.
It is fucking beautiful.
Yeah,
and that's why I fucking love this movie.
And yeah, I loved it more after Deb pointed that out. And I got literally this entire movie is, I love this movie. I would never put this in a favorite category, period, but I probably should.
Anyway, so they decide they're going to take revenge on this dude for grazing a chick in the arm.
And then they're like, all right, so this isn't in the movie, but at some point they, like, Alien had to been like, all right, so here's the deal. There's a compound. It's this giant 5-story mansion. There's no less than 50 dudes and 100 chicks there. There are so many people there. They have an army. They have a straight up Gucci Mane army.
Literal army.
My arch nemesis has a literal army's worth of people. We're going to take 3 guns and 3 people and murder 50 people. Also, that's the point where I'm like everything in this movie is wild and fantastical, but could have happened until she gets shot in the arm, and from the point that she gets shot in the arm,
it's some Jacob's Ladder shit.
They have a plan. There's at least 50 dudes with guns there.
Yeah.
The wildest plan could be 3 versus 25, which there was definitely more than that. Don't worry about it. They fuck them all up.
Oh, no. They roll up in a boat with black lights on it.
Which isn't on it.
And hot pink bikinis.
It's a fantasy lighting situation.
And also, it's beautiful. I love it.
Also, their fucking pink, their pink ski masks
are white now.
Are white or blue, which white shows up as blue in blacklight. They're no longer pink when this whole thing starts, which I also think is a nod that they're this is a fantasy situation that isn't really happening.
They roll up. They walk onto the pier. Dude gets shot in the head in 3 seconds.
As soon as they walk, they walk like 10 steps up, and alien
And
gets shot in the
dude
fucking
is
head.
like a gangster and has shot a gun before.
But also, like, I feel like that's pretty reality at that point, where like
These chicks
doesn't matter, just two people blindly shooting at each other. If probably no one's gonna get shot. And maybe someone's going to get shot.
But they shoot that dude directly in the head. These chicks who are floppy arming
These
their
chicks that
weapons,
have no reason to know how to use a gun.
They're floppy arming.
They have shown in the montage that they can't hold a gun. They're holding shotguns by the barrel.
They're like, bang, bang,
right.
bang.
And then like, yeah, bitch, you got 3rd-degree burns and like need to go to the hospital, and you probably can never use your hand again. They're holding shotguns by the barrel.
Empowerment, because they kill everyone in the house.
Yeah, like wildly with no gun training, no against 50 gangsters. Yeah.
And they wreck everything beautifully.
Just endless gangsters that actually have gun training with. Or, you know, they don't necessarily have gun training, but they've shot guns. These chicks have never shot a gun in their life.
You know what? When I joined the Army, I never shot a gun.
Me neither. Me neither.
Wrecked some shit.
I didn't go to St. Pete and murder 50 people and with perfect accuracy, and all of them miss me without ever shooting a gun in my entire life.
They didn't even dodge. They didn't even dodge. They just walked straight towards a dude with a gun.
Yeah, they didn't flinch. They didn't do shit. They just murdered everyone.
Which is
perfect
beautiful.
accuracy.
I love it. I personally, as a woman, love it. Also, they survive and drive away in his car.
Also, how long did it... He's in a hot tub, butt naked. How long did it take him to find his keys? He is in a 50-room mansion. Can you imagine?
Killed everyone. It didn't matter.
It doesn't matter if anyone's alive or dead. It could take hours to find his keys.
They were in his pants. I know where you're...
Where's his pants?
Sitting next to the hot tub. Babe, he's a man.
No, he was in the bedroom fucking him earlier. He was already naked then. They could be anywhere.
Oh, good call.
They could be anywhere in that mansion. It could take, I want to say, at best, if me and Deb shot up that entire mansion worth of gangsters and all of them were dead, and we were...
Where are the keys?
We're just us, yeah.
Keys.
It would be like me and Deb screaming at each other, like, find the fucking keys! Where's the... And Deb would be like, are they over... I'd be like, I don't know, Deb. Are they over there? And she'd be like, I don't know, Dana. Are they in those fucking pants over there? And I'd be like, Deb, I don't know. We just murdered like 50 fucking people, and this shit's insane. Baby. And now we're trying to find car keys.
Oh, where are your car keys?
I don't know where my fucking car keys are. How are you fucking gonna find a motherfucker's car keys after shooting 50 fucking dudes? I feel like the whole movie up to this last scene is kind of regular movie, like suspension of disbelief, like it could or couldn't happen until that last scene, and then that last scene just couldn't happen and doesn't even line up with the rest of the movie.
So I think a lot of this movie, a lot of people say it's disconnected.
It's not.
I think it is in a real way. It reminds me a lot of my 20s. Like,
it reminds me of how life actually works.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said in my notes, it seems disconnected, but in a real way. Yeah, I can't describe it. It's like my 20s. It makes sense. Like, none of it makes sense, but it makes sense. Like, it's
with all of my heart. If you can't follow this movie, I'm sorry, your life sucks so much, and that you never experience life on any level at all, period.
I feel this movie on a deep level in so many ways, not just from the women's empowerment side, but like the craziness of it.
Straight up, me and Deb live very different fucking lives.
We both understand this movie on completely different levels.
Yeah, on completely different levels.
Also, like, if you just kind of like this movie on a skin deep level because it's a beautiful movie. Cool. No, so this movie is like an onion. There's so many levels of it.
I don't know about going that deep with the thing.
You and I both understand it on completely different levels, and both love it on completely different levels.
Yeah.
And both of them are correct. It's an onion. If you have watched this movie and didn't like it, give it another chance.
This is it's not confusing.
No.
It's really not. Even on first watch, it's not confusing. And if you just don't get this, sorry, your life is so fucking boring.
I think this movie was the perfect pick for our first madness because this movie is the definition of madness.
This movie is madness. It's not horror. It
not at all.
Absolute and total madness, whether you understand it or not. Thank you for listening to Horror Madness. We love you, motherfuckers, and have a Horror Madness Forever night.
Horror Madness Forever.
Horror Madness Forever.